We thought BMW's GS range of motorcycles were versatile all-rounders, but that has not been the case so far. The 310 didn't have many redeeming qualities, and we've not tested the Big Daddy, the 1250 GS yet. But we have tested the mid-spec 850 GS, which was great off-road, but sadly it was a bit too aggressive for normal road conditions. Well, we've got its more mild, sensible twin here, the 750 GS, and here are 5 things that you need to know about it. Number 1, it feels more relaxed on the highway.
So doing 100 kmph, 120 kmph in 6th gear out on the highway is no fuss for the 750. In fact, it feels very calm, very stress-free, very relaxed, and there are no vibrations felt anywhere, even at the handlebars, tank, pegs, seat. But as soon as you start creeping up to say 140 kmph, when the revs really start to build up to say 6000 and post 6000 RPM, yeah, there are a few tingling sensations that are felt. Another key thing to remember is that when you're out on the highway and you're in 6th gear, do not let the speeds drop below 80 kmph, because if you do so, then the overtaking bit will be slightly slow, slightly sluggish, because the revs drop below 3000 RPM and there is no drive there. So the chunk of the drive is available only above 3 and 3,500 RPM. Another nifty feature of this GS, which comes out really handy out on the highway, is cruise control. What you do need to do is just toggle on the cruise control switch, set your desired speed, and voila, the bike will accelerate on its own.
This being the Pro version, you get luggage mounting systems as standard. However, you would have to buy the panniers from BMW separately, which will burn a sizable hole in your wallet. However, there are just a couple of niggles here. The seat, though spacious, is a bit too soft, and rider fatigue is guaranteed over the course of the day. And that ridiculously small fly screen is not going to save you from wind blasts. Thankfully, there are no weird noises heard in the helmet like we experienced on the 850.
Number 2, it's better than the 850 in on-road performance.
Even though the 750 is down on power, it manages fractionally better performance numbers than the 850. This is thanks to the peak torque being produced at slightly lower revs, and it is 5 kilos lighter. It manages to impress us with good city fuel efficiency, but on the highway, there is not much to choose between the two GS twins. Thanks to road biased tires from Bridgestone and different ABS calibration, the 750 performs brilliantly in the braking department. The bite is present, but the lever feel still feels inadequate.
Number 3, it is the more manageable option. Now we've already stated that this bike weighs lesser than the 850 GS. But there is one more thing that you need to keep in mind, that the seat height is considerably lower. So for somebody who is 5'10" like me, I can reach the balls of my feet very well on the floor. But for someone who is shorter, well, he'll find this to be a bit more manageable than the 850. The mass centralization on this bike is fantastic. And because it makes less power, the bike is more manageable to ride in the city. Thus, it is a big boon in city stop-go traffic situations. Number 4, it can do a bit of softcore off-roading. So both suspension units offer decent amount of travel. It's got a dedicated Enduro riding mode, it's got switchable traction control, switchable ABS, a 19-inch front, 17-inch rear wheel setup. So all this enables you to do just a little bit of off-roading.
Sadly, there are no spoke rims here. This does limit the bike's off-road potential a bit. But even after jumping around for hours, the rims stood strong. We are not saying that the Bridgestone Battlax Adventure tires can't handle their own, but perhaps a more dual-purpose oriented rubber could have done the trick. Something like the Metzeler Tourans is the obvious choice that comes to mind.
Number 5. Majority of the components are top drawer. On the 750 GS, the Pro version right here, you get semi-electronic rear monoshock, Brembo calipers, LED lighting, and a whole lot of other features which you can read right here.
It is German engineering at its finest, as BMW has paid close attention to detail when building components for the 750.
Build quality is what we've come to expect from BMW, top notch. Right from the welds to the plastics to the switchgear, everything is a cut above anything else in its class.
Take for instance the aluminum alloy rims. They already soaked up a load of abuse, and the positioning of the valve hole on one of the alloy spokes makes it super practical. It does miss out on USD forks and spoke rims, but they aren't a big loss in the grand scheme of things.
While normally you get a semi-digital info cluster, our test bike came with this color TFT display, which is optional, but it looks awesome. It gets Bluetooth connectivity, sat-nav, and music controls. The system takes a while to understand, but it is very informative.
But in order to get the TFT dash, you will have to shell out an additional 60,000 rupees for it. Is it worth paying the extra premium? Why don't you let us know in the comment section below.
The 750 GS is not only a sweet motorcycle, but it is also a very capable tourer. It is not as aggressive or as off-road biased as the 850, but there are a few takers for that sort of a motorcycle. And at rupees 13.4 lakh, the 750 is a whole lakh of rupees cheaper than the 850. And thus, if you want a mid-spec BMW GS motorcycle, well, the 750 is the most sensible option.